In today's video, we're going to be talking about the top 5 mistakes that I have seen working with therapists in private practice. Now, before we kick off into the video, I do want to just caveat and say that these are mistakes that I have seen personally working with therapists as a virtual assistant or doing admin audits with clients that have been through my online course, or just being in Facebook groups and seeing the types of questions that therapists in private practice ask. Before we start with mistake number 1, I just want to introduce myself for those of you who don't know me. I'm Kim. I help therapists in private practice get online, get confident with admin and reduce tech overwhelm. So let's get started. Mistake number 1 is not treating your private practice as a business when you first start. When I first started out my business as a virtual assistant, I also fell into this mistake and did not take my business seriously. I was helping out a friend who was a psychotherapist in private practice. I was doing her invoicing, and then I started doing her accounts and eventually started running her whole practice from an admin point of view. Yet I still didn't think of myself as a business owner. I was just helping out a friend. What I see a lot when I start working with therapists in private practice is that they also don't see their private practice as a business. The number 1 way I see this coming up is that they don't charge enough, but that is not the only way that I would say you need to set up your private practice as a business. You do need to set it up legally. You need to understand your tax obligations. Having some kind of online presence, even if that's not a website, but just having a Psychology Today profile or counselling directory or another kind of way that you can show up online, will help legitimize you as a therapist in private practice and also help you get clients. I do have a free download called the Private Practice Business Setup Guide, and you're welcome to download that. I'll leave a link in the description so that you can go through step by step how to set up your private practice. Knowing what you need to earn is also very important, and I would not suggest just going online and having a look what other therapists in your area or in your niche are charging. What you want to do is work out what it is you need and how many weeks you want to work a year and how many clients you want to see, so that you can work out your session fee. I'm going to put a quick calculation on the screen now so you can see how you can work out your session fee based on your own personal needs and not what other people are charging. Break it down. What you need to do is think of the total amount of money you want to earn. Then you need to think about what expenses you are going to have in your private practice. Now, you may not know these now, but you can give an estimate and add them together to get the total amount you need to earn. Next, I want you to think about how many weeks you want to work. Now, what I would suggest is take off how many weeks holiday you want, plus a couple of weeks extra for unplanned sickness and things like that. So once you have those 2 figures, you want to divide the total amount you need to earn by the total number of weeks you want to work, and that will give you a weekly figure. Next, you need to decide how many clients you want to see in a week. Divide that by the weekly figure and you'll have your session fee. Mistake number 2 that I have seen is not setting yourself a schedule. Now, when you first start, you may want to take on any client and you will see them at a time that is convenient for them, but that is not the best way to do it. What you want to do is decide when you want to work and find the ideal clients to fit in with that schedule. I have clients that only work a couple of days a week between the hours of 8 and 4, and they have a completely full practice. You don't have to work evenings and weekends if you don't want to. I have an exercise that I do with my clients which is called the perfect week exercise, and what you basically do is get an Excel sheet or a calendar or just print off a timesheet, and then you fill in all the things that you want to do during that week. So what I would first do is start by plotting all of your must-dos. So these are probably going to be things such as taking kids to school, picking kids up, any after school clubs that they might have, and then anything that you personally have to do as well. Next, plan in the things you want to do. So if you want to go to the gym once a day, or you have a yoga class that you want to go to, schedule those in second. And then you want to plan your work day. So I would have a look at what's left and basically plan in when it is that you're going to see clients. Just note that if you have 15 client hours in a week, you're probably going to need that again in admin and supervision and things like that. So don't overbook yourself. Once you have those client hours plotted out, if a client wants to reschedule, you'll know exactly when you can fit them in, rather than letting them pick when they want to see you and cut it into your evenings or weekends, or just seeing too many clients in one day. It's also really important to schedule in that admin time. So what you want to do is schedule in times when you are looking at your inbox, or when you are doing client admin such as onboarding new clients, typing up client notes, sending invoices, etc. You also want to make sure you have time scheduled in for things such as bookkeeping, so that you're not doing that all at the end of the year. When you're first starting out, you can use those client hours you've scheduled for building your website, networking, creating your online profiles, or having introductory calls with clients. It's important to get yourself into a schedule that you'd like to stick to when you are really busy early on. Mistake number 3 is not properly onboarding client. Now, I use the term onboarding, which basically is the process of taking somebody from an inquiry to a regular client within your practice. I did a whole video on client onboarding a few weeks ago, which I'll link if you want to watch that next. Just know that it's much easier to retain a client as opposed to getting a new one. So it's really worthwhile putting the effort into onboarding your clients properly so that they're not overwhelmed and really anxious about their first session. I'd really suggest watching that video next if you haven't already, but the most important thing is to make sure you send a welcome email to your clients with all the information they're going to need before their first session. So this can include things such as the address they're going to meet you at, or the online call link if you're doing online sessions, the fee and how they pay you, what your cancellation policy is, and how they can cancel the appointment if needed. You should also send them their paperwork, such as the therapy agreement and their intake form, so that they can complete that really easily before their first session as well. Clients that I've worked with have really noticed a higher client retention rate when they do follow a structured onboarding process with their clients. Mistake number 4 is invoicing and getting paid. Again, I did a deep dive into invoicing in another video, which I'll also link. So if you're interested in learning more about invoicing in private practice, go check that out after this video. Some of my top tips for invoicing are: always send a physical invoice. Whether you're doing this manually or using a system such as Stripe or PayPal or even an EHR, sending an invoice shows you are a professional business, you take your practice seriously, and people will generally pay you on time more if they get a physical invoice. My next tip is to keep an invoice log. If you are invoicing manually, you do want a way to be able to track the payments that are coming in and make sure that you're not missing any session payments. If you're using something like Stripe or PayPal or even Starling Bank, if you have the business toolkit, this isn't necessary, as you'll have a log of all of the invoices that you've sent out and you'll easily be able to see if there's a payment missing. My third tip is to be consistent with your invoicing. However you decide to invoice, whether that's in advance, retrospectively, by session or monthly, be consistent and make sure you're sending those invoices the same way and generally on the same day of the week or time of the month. Regularly check your bank account. Some clients may still prefer to pay via BACS even if you give them pay links, so make sure you're checking your bank regularly to check off those invoices that are outstanding so that you don't send overdue invoicing reminders to your clients. And then on the flip side of that, don't be scared to remind your clients if they haven't paid. And I would do this really regularly as well. Don't let that build up. If they haven't paid you by the deadline, I would send them an overdue invoice reminder. You can be super polite in this and just say something like, I notice you may have missed this payment. Please could you kindly pay me as soon as it is convenient. But making sure you're chasing those overdue payments, again, will really show that you're taking your business seriously. And the final mistake that I see is people not getting help. This can come in many forms and not just getting help from a virtual assistant day to day. This could be somebody to help build a website for you. It could be somebody to help you with your account, or it could be getting a virtual assistant to help you day to day. Help doesn't always have to cost money. There are loads and loads of spaces online and people online who are helping therapists in private practice. So make sure you join the right Facebook groups, you follow the right type of people that are going to help you on your private practice practice journey. The type of person you need will change depending on what season you're in with your private practice. Maybe when you're first starting out, you really need help with marketing and with networking. And then later on, as your practice gets busier, you might need help with your administration and your systems. With regards to virtual assistants, they generally charge quite a bit less than what a therapist would charge. So if you outsource 2 hours a week to them, you could easily make that money back by just doing one extra client. And if you didn't want to work that extra client, you can just have some extra free time. So those are the top 5 mistakes that I have seen whilst working with therapists in private practice. If you are making any of these currently or you have made them in the past, don't worry. There's lots of help for you. I have lots of free downloads and I've linked to lots of other videos within this video as well. I'll add everything in the description below so you can check that out. I'm also going to link to some other people that I know are great people to follow in private practice if you'd also like to get some help in other areas. Until next time, thanks for watching.